Hello everyone, this is Matthew once again, and welcome back. As today I am going to continue on with my series reviews of the Batman film franchise, which of course, the last video I ever done was a special inside look on Joker, which I will review that one day after I finish reviewing Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy. And of course, why I have the stuff right here, because as I mentioned earlier in my last Batman video, the Tim Burton one from 1989, I did show off this DVD box set right here. And of course, the Blu-ray box set, which of course I only got to pull out this one because I don't have the 4K Blu-ray yet until now, which I do. Put this back in. And now, just to recap my reviews of the Batman films, once again, classic movie, my favorite Batman film, or one of my favorite Batman films I ever love. But I will say it's my favorite Batman film that's directed by Tim Burton. And you have a sequel that parents complaining how too dark it is, but I don't care. I really like this movie, and definitely deserves a thumbs up. Really good movie. Not as good as the first, but it's a good one. And we come to this film, which I really want to see the way Batman Forever could have been, the original darker cut of the film. So hopefully one day it gets released. I enjoy it fine for what it is, but still like to see a director's cut. Hashtag release the Schumacher cut. And finally, I was able to get a copy of this film on 4K Blu-ray. Still not a good movie. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. But the picture quality itself was cool. No pun intended. And finally, I was able to get the Dark Knight trilogy in 4K Blu-ray, which of course it contains Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises. And speaking of The Dark Knight Rises, I actually do own a copy of this, which I got this around Christmas of 2012. And the reason why I want this edition, because I like the cover art better than the regular Blu-ray edition. The one has that bad Photoshop where it has the background scene collapsing, it has Batman right there, standing. Wasn't too crazy on that, so that's why I got this instead. So, anyway, to start off, for my review of Christopher Nolan's Dark Knight trilogy, and of course, I need to wrap this up because Batman is no longer going to be turning 80 because he's about to be 81 this year as we enter the year 2020. To start off on this box set, I am now reviewing a film that came out, believe it or not, 15 years. And I can't believe it's been 15 years ever since we had this movie. And now, time to celebrate it for its 15th anniversary. Batman Begins, starring Christian Bale, Michael Caine, Liam Neeson, Katie Holmes, Gary Oldman, Cillian Murphy, Tom Wilkinson, Rutger Hauer, may he rest in peace, Ken Watanabe, and Morgan Freeman, with film composers Hans Zimmer and Jason Howard, and is co-written and directed by Christopher Nolan. Now, to give you my history with this film, I first noticed about this movie when I was in junior high school, when I was looking at movie trailers on Video Detective, which I was looking at trailers from the Batman films, as well as other websites. And then on Video Detective, I came across this one teaser trailer called Batman Begins. And when I saw that trailer on the internet, I was like, oh wow, a new Batman film, great, awesome. And I just got hyped because of a new Batman film was on its way, especially, of course, this is a guy who just comes from a guy who's always a big fan of the 1989 Tim Burton Batman film. And, of course, I told everyone about it, which, of course, I will admit, even Steven had heard news on the internet that Batman was going to have, like, a tank-like vehicle or something, and which I didn't thought it would be, like, the one you see in the film. I thought it would be more like a tank that had like a little cannon or something. That's what I thought he was going to drive it. I said Batman rides in what you call the total tank from the Santa Claus. And then, of course, another trailer came on, which I've noticed on the internet, and still was very stoked about it. And, of course, if I will admit, I have no idea who Christian Bale is, and I have no idea who Christopher Nolan is. I know who Michael Caine is, and I know who Liam Neeson is. And Gary Oldman, I think I know him in some of the Harry Potter films. And I know who Tom Wilkinson is, and I know who Morgan Freeman is. And I can't wait to not be as well for Last Samurai, and Cillian Murphy, and I never heard of him as well. But of course, after seeing this movie, I actually did see other Christopher Nolan films before The Dark Knight, such as The Prestige, then came Memento, Following, and Insomnia, and then finally The Dark Knight to Inception, The Dark Knight Rises, Interstellar, and Dunkirk, and now he's doing a new film coming out this year called Tenet, which I'm looking forward to. And soon I got to see this movie when it came out, after seeing Revenge of the Sith, in June of 2005, when I was going in to see this movie, I thought I was going to get that same good old Batman feel like the 1989 Batman movie was. You know, it doesn't relive, the style and so on and so forth. You just have maybe some little bit nostalgic feeling. But nope. What I got was something totally 100% different. And I accepted it. But although, after watching this film, I was still in that phase, I still loved the 1999 Batman movie more. That is until Dark Knight, which I'll get to. But nevertheless, I really love this movie. And of course, I just watched this movie last week, an Ultra HD Blu-ray, which of course, it does come with a regular Blu-ray itself. And the Blu-ray is good, but you could tell it's definitely a copy that's taken from HD DVD. But now, Christopher Nolan was able to supervise each of the trilogy in 4K Blu-ray. It looks a whole lot better the way how he envisioned for this movie. And of course, yes, I used to have a copy of some on DVD, but it doesn't have that much features. But Steven will not only get a copy of the Blu-ray, but will also get the DVD, which is a 2-disc set that has features. So, before I give you my thoughts on this film, let's talk about the backstory. Of course, we all know that after the dismal failure of Batman and Robin, there wasn't talks of another Batman film for Joe Schumacher to come back and George Clooney, Chris O'Donnell, which the next Batman film, which people keep referring to it as Batman Triumphant, but it's actually Batman Unchained, which it was supposed to be going back to its darker roots, and I think it's supposed to feature the Scarecrow in it, like Jeff Goldblum or Brad Dourif, and then Madonna would be playing Harley Quinn, who's supposed to be the Joker's daughter who tried to get revenge on Batman, and then, of course, Jack Nicholson will make an appearance in Batman's hallucination scenes. But it just got canceled due to poor reception. And then they tried many attempts to bring Batman back on the big screen. And I know one of was Batman Year One to be made to a movie. And of course, one was like Howard Stern being the Scarecrow. And of course, the Wachowskis and Darren Aronofsky tried to put their own spin on Batman. Never got made. And J.J. Abrams wrote a script for Batman vs. Superman, which of course, that will later become Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice by Zack Snyder. And then finally, we enter this version of Batman by Christopher Nolan. And this is how he wanted to present this movie. Which had happened around January 2003. Christopher Nolan was signed on to direct Insomnia, and especially after he did Memento, he actually had heard news that Warner Brothers was looking forward to reboot the franchise, which I will admit, I never heard the word reboot in my italics. I don't even know what that meant until now, which I really do. Especially, reboot is very much different than what you call a remake. Which is supposed to be, for remakes, you would just remake a film and then you just tell the same story, well, still make some changes. But when it comes to reboot or reinvention, you just start over from scratch, and then, of course, you present it the way how you want to tell for a brand new generation of audiences. Well, still, for all generations to enjoy as well. So, in January 2003, Warner Brothers was gonna do another Batman film, and Chris Nolan just signed on, to have David S. Goyer on board to co-write the screenplay, and that's how they're able to tell an origin story that has never been told before, which of course I know that in the 1989 Batman film, there was scenes that featured the origin of Bruce Wayne becoming Batman, but it wasn't much to it. But this one, they want to go deeper with it. And what Nolan wanted to do with his film, he wanted to be set in ground of reality, but with a sense of humanity and growth of the character, so we can see what the character is going through. And then, of course, one of his main inspiration for this film was the original 1978 Superman film by Richard Donner, which, of course, what made it work was because of his casting, but also to give it some credibility to the story and have an epic feel to it, which that's what he wanted, all because of the success of Richard Donner's Superman, which I really loved. And while this movie itself does take notes for the comics, the film itself actually does take creative liberties, which, of course, all other Batman films always take creative liberties as well. And well, aside from the comics, it's also known for its well-known 3 stories from the graphic novel, such as Batman Year One, The Man Who Falls, as well as The Long Halloween. And of course, the film made its debut on June 15, 2005, as it earned critical acclaim reviews by critics and audiences alike, and was like a box office success by grossing $206.8 million against a $150 million budget. And the film itself actually did earn 1 Oscar nomination for Best Cinematography, which, of course, it features Christopher Nolan's longtime DP, Walt Pfister, who worked with him in films such as Memento, Insomnia, The Prestige, Inception, as well as the Dark Knight trilogy, until Nolan moved on to a different DP for Interstellar, Dunkirk, and now Tenet. Following, he was just going solo on that one. But unfortunately, the film did not win Best Cinematography. It was given to Dion Beebe, who was well known for Michael Bay's film 13 Hours, The Secret of Benghazi, who won the Oscar for his work on Memoirs of a Geisha. And so far, this was like the last Batman film by far to be nominated for a Razzie Award for Worst Supporting Actress, Kate Holmes, but it was given to Paris Hilton's performance in the House of Wax remake. And for the film's legacy, there has been many other countless films that took notes from Batman Begins when it comes to terms of reinvention for storytelling and filmmaking skills for visuals. And the Nolan films well known, I mean, was films like Iron Man, Godzilla, Casino Royale, The Amazing Spider-Man, the 2017 reboot of Power Rangers, and many others to count, which all because of this film for what it had set out to accomplish. And speaking of which, even when the title was called Batman Begins, the filmmakers who were working on the new James Bond film, Casino Royale, which came out a year after this film, they actually had a fake working title for Casino Royale called Bond Begins, named after this title, Batman Begins. And hey, even the film itself would have been called Bond Begins because of they're telling a brand new story and starting over from scratch to create a grounded, realistic take on James Bond. So, but anyway, I watched this film last week, and this movie really still holds up after 15 years, which I haven't seen this movie ever since I last time watched it. And watching on 4K Blu-ray, I was going on to this emotional experience of how much I really miss watching this movie. And I saw what Chris Nolan did. He really, really nailed it out of the park. You could tell he really wanted this to be a great Batman movie, just after what this one went through. He was able to not only to bring realistic table to the movie, but also to get invested with the character, go on this emotional experience to make us feel care for the character of Batman, which of course I do care for Batman in the Tim Burton ones. And of course I'm Schumacher, I guess, for Batman Forever, but Batman Robin, well, but anyway, I don't want to get around here. What I'm trying to get at the point is, he wants us to make us feel care on how the story is presented, especially for the character of Batman, and especially for Christian Bale, which I know that I heard some news that he's saying that he really didn't catch the role of Batman very well as he would have thought of, which I disagree. And Christian Bale, if you're watching right now, I thought you did an amazing job portraying not only as Batman, but also as Bruce Wayne. You were able to capture what Bruce Wayne was in the comics, but still make it at your own saying. Especially you have not only a guy who dresses up like a bat, but you have a character who's always going to this deep, darker path, especially feeling the guilt of Bruce Wayne's parents' deaths, and especially him to learn not only to hide in the shadows, but also must become the fear. And especially you're able to make Batman who's not really a masked vigilante, but a hero that Gotham really deserved, and especially to show that he can be a symbol, and especially of like Superman, who's always a symbol of hope, and especially for Batman's goal is to inspire people to be like what Batman is, not just copycat him. Which, of course, that happened like that in The Dark Knight. So, yes, even I know that everyone picks on Nolan's Batman films because of Christian Bale's bad voice. Which, of course, I do know the bad voice quite well. It's not who I am or I need, but what I do that defines me. Where are the other droids going? Do I look like a cop? Nice go. Someone like you. Someone who rattled the cages. Which I know that voice gets picked on so many times, and I really am getting tired of hearing that. I mean, I know that it's not really the Michael Keaton bad voice right there, but hey, that's just the way what the voice is. I don't think it's annoying. I don't think it's silly. I do think it's a good voice. Which I can't explain, but it's a really unique voice, the way how Batman's voice should stand out on its own, especially not trying to be like another Michael Keaton or George Clooney or any other bad voice done. And especially, really, it was the best way to use that voice to know that no one can know who's behind the mask. So, I know other people could explain a better job of that voice, but to me, I don't care when I say it. Christian Bale is a fantastic Bruce Wayne at Batman. And of course, you have Michael Caine, who is very good for the role as Alfred, the faithful butler. And of course, you have other great actors such as Morgan Freeman as Lucius Fox, Gary Oldman as Commissioner Gordon, which you really do buy as Commissioner Gordon. Definitely a huge step up from Pat Hingle. And Liam Neeson, which was the first time in my life I actually get to see him to play a bad guy as Dukar, which of course later on he will be known as Ra's al Ghul. But of course in the film he was just called Ra's al Ghul. But he was really, really good, and he really has a good, clear motivation. And especially how he wants to do with Gotham, which I know the whole taking over the world thing may sound as corny as it is, but to me, I still think it's told really well, and especially you get where he's coming from. Especially he has a clear plan about what he wants to do with Gotham. Especially since in the film, but when he's part of the League of Shadows, we sacked little chips with plague racks, burned London to the ground. And especially to let Gotham tear itself apart for fear, and especially how the world is. So, and yeah, even Ken Watanabe is good too as well, even though he's only playing as a decoy. Katie Holmes, on the other hand, which I will admit, that's also one of my only criticisms of the film here, but at the end of it, I thought Katie Holmes does a pretty fine job. I mean, if it had been for Maggie Gyllenhaal for not being cast in this film, but instead had to be cast later on The Dark Knight, you would have a perfect cast. But what she did to the film, I thought she did what she had to do. And of course, yeah, she is pretty, of course, and she's not really a sex object like you've seen out of other Michael Bay films, but she really does play the role really well. But I will admit, she does seem slightly young for the part to play a young district attorney here, which she actually does look like a girl who actually looks like I just came from college, who was playing for an intern, so. But yeah, either way, I mean, I think King Holmes does a fine job with the role. She did what she had to do, but it would have been something if Maggie Gyllenhaal was cast in Batman Begins. But she doesn't really hurt the movie at all. Because even when it comes flaws like this, you can actually get past by it when all in terms of its storytelling, its filmmaking style, its characters, the music by Hans and Gene Howard, definitely one of the best scores out there. Really love the way how it's presented. Especially you do have the action scenes, which of course, yeah, there are some that handheld stuff, especially you see what is in the film. But I mean, sure, yeah, the acting gets a little bit rapid, but hey, it's just the way it is. And honestly, I can easily make out what's going on pretty fine, and especially the build-up before you see the reveal of Batman. I think it's done really well, and I don't think the actions look that bad, and the effects themselves do look pretty good for its mixture of CG and practical, as well as the stunt work. And especially I do like the scope of the film, which you do get such an epic feel to it, that you're entered this world of not only Gotham City, but the world that Batman goes. Which, of course, this is the first time for a Batman film you get to see the character going from one place to another, as opposed to, like, the other Batman films. He's always stuck in Gotham City, but now it's like, can we put Bruce Wayne in another sort of isolated place, or to another place where he's surrounded by? Which, of course, you do have the Himalayas, and then you have Gotham City, and you do see, you know, where this character is coming from. And the look of Gotham City, which of course, I will say, as much as I do like the way what Christopher Nolan did for the look of Gotham City to create this realistic environment, although I still prefer the way what Anton first did with his design of Gotham City in the original 1989 Batman film, which I like the world that really doesn't exist. But of course, in Disney universe, no one wants to create a world that we're all familiar with, which doesn't make it a bad thing. Which of course, even Superman does the exact same thing to make it a place where you're all familiar with. Which, of course, Metropolis was filmed in New York, whereas here in Batman Begins, it was shot in Chicago. Until Dark Knight Rises, they shot the film in Pittsburgh and sometimes New York. So, and the story itself, the movie does not drag. It really does go by at a pretty good pace, and you love the slow build-up of Bruce Wayne becoming Batman as you see him, where he's having a fear of bats, parents get murdered, and then you go into this motion experience where he has to travel the world and then come across the League of Shadows so that they can train him to learn how to hide, as well as theatricality and deception, and him returning to Gotham so that he can become the symbol he needs to be. But yeah, I mean, there's so many things I can say about Batman Begins. I mean, everyone's already talked about this film because they know that this is a film that gets Batman right. And I love Batman Begins and really deserves an A+. Aside from Kate Holmes, which she does a pretty decent job and all, but still she doesn't really hurt their film at all. But the reason why I'm giving it an A+ because it really gets the character right, and especially how Chris Nolan was able to tell a really good story and characters you get emotionally invested with. And really just to give this grand epic feel of what makes Batman so great, and especially the way how Batman should be. Especially you don't have to hear more of these corny one-liners, as well as the darn nipples on the bat suit and the bat credit card such. Batman Begins. It's awesome. It is an emotional experience, and still love it to this day. And definitely, as Roger Ebert says on Ebert Roper, it is definitely one of the year's best films, and definitely earns 2 thumbs way up. So this is not only just a comic movie, this is also a drama, a crime movie. Most of all, it's an adventure movie. So, that's my thoughts on Batman Begins, and let me know what you think of this video. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Let me know. For your comments down below, and don't forget the subscribe button. Thank you for watching, take care, and stay tuned as I continue with my more reviews of the Batman film franchise by Christopher Nolan and the Dark Knight trilogy. Let's put a smile on that face. And why so serious? And that's coming up next. See ya.